Hey, little rollerblader, are you okay?
Hey! Will you guys stop talking about rollerblading?
Why? Are you afraid you are missing out on something?
Yes?
Welcome to episode 7 of the Blade Rat Podcast. Special thanks to all of our Patreon supporters out there, Dustin, Britta, Zach, Rob, and the guys over at Conjure Brand. I want to personally thank all of you. Some I've met in person, to the others, I hope we cross paths on this blade venture. I really appreciate all the words of encouragement, and it's really been great to connect with all of you through messaging online. You can support our podcast at patreon.com/BladeRatPodcast or visit bladerat.com and click support. For $1 donations, you'll get a shout out in the podcast intro, and I'll share Haunted Wheelco's VOD, Die High, through an email link. For a $3 donation, you'll get a shout out in the podcast's intro, Haunted Wheelco's VOD, Die High, Blade Rat stickers, and your choice of 3 handmade crystal pendants. Pledges go towards Blade Rat apparel and podcast equipment upgrades. In today's episode, I sit down with my good friend Ivan Gwynn to discuss our thought process behind VXPDX, a Portland, Oregon blade flick. But before we dive into the details of this project, we discuss pinball, working in the video production industry, cassettes, and camping in the Pacific Northwest. So tell us about yourself, Ivan. How old are you? What's your occupation? What have you been up to?
I just turned 30. I'm turning into a better adult day by day, for better or for worse. Video production on the daily basis. Producer, shooter on pretty much all aspects of stuff. So I kind of take that, it all started with filming skating, and that's how I got into it, and that's what I'm doing now, so it's pretty dope.
Very cool. And we kind of connected when the first time that I met you, kind of connected on, I think it was Sessions 503, and hopped in with some guys, hopped in with their car. I didn't know any of the riders, and you're sitting in the back seat, and we were just kind of bullshitting back and forth about video cameras, talking about C100s at the time.
Yeah, and then you had the AF100, and pretty much the whole ride we were just talking camera gear, whether it was filming for work or filming for skating. It was just kind of like a natural connection. This dude from Michigan I had never met, and he just moved to Portland, and we just kind of hit it off right off the bat.
Yeah, that was cool. And then we had a great session at Estacada. I can't remember, what camera were you filming with at the time?
At that time I had the 5D Mark III with
okay.
the 8mm Rokinon shaved, because you can't be having none of that bullshit on the outside. And so that was a really good combo just for fisheye setup, and that ended up being a pretty cool edit. It was like a day edit that we filmed. I thought it was pretty cool.
You would see the edits of like Ivan Gwynn or Dustin Jameson, and I sort of just moved to Portland out of a whim in order to start my career out here, video production. And it's just, you never really expect that you'll bump into people, and it's weird to see their characters connect. What you think that they are, or who you think they are, via Vimeo, Instagram, Facebook, what have you. And it sort of all leads us up to a collaboration piece where eventually we'll get to, and we'll talk about VXPDX. But it's been a long journey. We've known each other for 3 years or something.
Yeah, it's probably.
And
maybe it's a little less, a little more. I don't know.
How many video shoots have we been on together?
Gosh, we've probably been on couple dozen.
Yeah,
probably
it's gotta
more.
Yeah, it's got to be. Oh, geez, it's got to be
handfuls of dozens at this point.
30 or so.
Yeah,
some of them in San Francisco a couple times.
Yeah, a couple in San Francisco. Now one in even the more recent one in Arizona. Lots of local stuff in Portland and surrounding areas. But yeah,
I feel really fortunate that people like us, we get to collaborate with our friends. I used to work with a really talented photographer and videographer in Michigan, Brad Bruce. And he was just like you and I, where we were bladers, but we were buddies. But when we collaborate, we can really do some great work together. And so, I mean, that's just been sort of a theme of ours, is like working on projects and making really cool shit together. So, I mean, that's why I'm juiced about this video project. Is video projects are so difficult by yourself sometimes, that sometimes when you collaborate and a vision comes together, it can be something even better than what you could even anticipate it. So. Yeah, I mean, I think that everybody should, if you have a passion of any sort of interest, whether it be art, blading, podcasts, create content and have fun with it, and I don't know. It's all just it's good for yourself, and it also motivates other people. It's sort of a good cycle of positivity.
Yeah, you can start to invite people in a little bit, and like, yeah, you want to have your creative control of your projects and what have you, but you know, whether you team up with someone with different strengths or just get someone interested, it's all beneficial to, you know, kind of let people into your work a little bit, because a huge part of it is sharing it, you know, whether it's just as a general audience or, you know, as a collaboration. So I think that's super important in the process.
Yeah. So you recently turned, was it 30, 31?
30, yeah.
Yeah, and you had a hell of a PRL session, huh, the other day?
Yeah, that was a good time. We brought out a couple a box and a Piro and covered spot because it's super rainy in Portland as usual, and yeah, it turned out pretty good. I think by we had a pretty eventful regular PRL session. By the end of it, there was like a disco portion of wacky blading and disco and joint smoking, and I don't know, it was a good time.
Weed porn was doing handstands and breakdancing.
Oh my gosh, did Britta get a photo of that handstand?
Yeah, she did. It's
the recording that exists in my mind is so great. Weed porn rolls up, smoking a joint. He puts the joint in his mouth, and then he proceeds to do a handstand off the box with the joint in his mouth. It was so good.
Where do you live nowadays, and where did you grow up?
So I've been here in Portland for about 5 years, and has it been longer than that? Yeah, about 5 years, and I'm from Spokane, Washington. You know, just like 5.5 hours east. That's yeah. I didn't go too far, but it was nice to come to a city that's a little more established and do the stuff that I want to do. Other than that, yeah, I pretty much lived in Spokane my whole life.
Well, and what's Spokane, Washington all about? Is there bladers out there still?
Yeah. Spokane has a small. It's hard to compare scenes to a place like whether it's Portland or Detroit or Bay Area. It's not that big. At any given time, there was probably like 10 bladers that bladed on a regular basis that you could call up and let's go skate something. And there's definitely like more older cats that are around but just didn't skate as much.
Is Dave Hill out there?
Yeah, Dave Hill is a big, huge supporter of the scene in Spokane since way back in the day. He was sponsored by Rollerblade, did competitions, and he loves rollerblading so much, and it's great to see him, keeping the guys motivated out there and whatnot. Because I got to see my homies still blading.
Yeah,
Eric, Universe, shout out, Ty Jones, fucking Cody, Tyson, everyone. Like, yeah, all those dudes are super cool, and it's great to see them on Shred Tour once a year, and hopefully I get to see them more.
Yeah, this year's Northern California, is that right?
Yeah, Northern California.
Cool. Yeah, I'm excited about that. Isn't Cody Clark and someone else kind of lining it up?
I think Sean Oberg took over huge responsibilities from Preston.
Okay,
so
cool.
He's been doing a lot of the legwork there. I'm not sure how much Preston got involved this year, but either way, some of the towns someone actually had told me about recently, and they sound kind of like a little more rural and whatnot, and should be some interesting little skate parks.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. That's always one of the best parts of the year, camping and seeing new area. Last year, there's Seattle region was amazing. Northern Washington, or was it Western Washington? Mm-hmm. Yeah, beautiful. What was the mountain range that we were at?
Hurricane Ridge. I'm really glad that we stayed there a second night, and I was really glad that we did, because just taking the time to see what's around you before just jetting off, it's such a double-edged sword. Like, you want to see everything.
Sure.
But you also, if you're in a really great area, you should just milk it. Since you're right there, you might as well just see everything you can see. And I'm really glad that we did that.
Yeah, when we walked up. Oh, you, Greg, I, and Aaron, wasn't it? Or
yeah.
Was it Nikita.
The original, what was it called?
The Sardine Boys?
The Sardine Boys, yeah.
Sardine Boys on the Great Conquest.
Yep.
Yeah, man, and we worked our way up that ridge, and perfect sunset with insane colors. Mm-hmm. We all had nice cameras, and so we're shooting and just capturing and kind of absorbing the moment. One of the most surreal experiences ever, and even working our way to the top, when there was those deer sitting there, and there was 2 bucks and a baby fawn or something. And I crept up with my 16 to 35 millimeter, and I think shot it at 16 millimeter. But I was 4 feet from this Bambi.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Because these deer were super tame and comfortable with people. I mean, I'm sort of a nature boy at heart growing up at Michigan, so I'm familiar with like animals and like am aware that something bad could happen, but I also wanted to get that unique shot, and I just slowly kind of crept in. But I'm really glad that I did that because that shot is one of my favorites that I've ever captured, so that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That whole trip was insane. So much fun.
Mm-hmm.
All of them. Montana's Northwest Shred Tour was amazing too. Just visually one of the most beautiful experiences ever. Seeing the mountain ranges all around you, and I don't know, all of us were kind of pulling off and shooting lots of interesting photos, and we captured a lot of great images from that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Montana, that was like the full media coverage one. I mean, both you and Megan were shooting photos. Johnny made a really, really sick edit. He had brought out the crane, just like really, he pulled out all the stops, making that video really, really sick. He had Crayons do the narration. So yeah, there was a really, and then Carter made his edit. So like Carter had like the VX edit, the just like for skaters edit. You want to see the tricks, and then Johnny had like the documentary themed video. That was dope. You guys put out the Blade photo. It wasn't a book, but just like a collection of photos, what have you?
Yeah, a BMAG article.
Yeah, it was just like a full feature of the photos. So we had full media coverage that time, and in the state of Montana, it was beautiful. So it was just like everything lined up, and it was. I think that's one of my favorite ones.
Absolutely. Kranz also had a podcast too for that one.
Mm-hmm.
And that podcast directly inspired exactly what I'm doing with the format of this podcast. Like recording those sound bites and trying to create that narration. Just listening to that experience like transported me in a unique way. And that's what I want to do with a lot of these. This one in particular might have a little bit different format. We're sitting down, 2 people, just at my house recording this. Some of them at sessions and stuff, and some of them on the go. But I really like that raw, authentic sort of feel with Kranz's podcast during that one. So on the Montana trip, and you were also carrying around like film camera shooting a lot too. So
yeah,
tell us a little bit about like what you enjoy doing in Portland.
Yeah, there's definitely skating and filming. Those are like 2 of the main hobbies I have. I'm also really into pinball. I'm on a team league that we play like for. Each bar is represented by a team, and so we play for a bar, and we'll go have home games and away games, and so yeah, that's like a big thing I do each week.
You recently went and purchased your own pinball machine, is that right?
Yeah, I got my first machine a few months ago. It's a lot of fun. It's like an old machine, electromechanical. There's like no chips, no computers in it. It's all just like switches and motors and reels, and it's kind of fun to get in there and poke around. It gives me something to do.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of being the first guest appearance to go and play on it. Pretty
fun.
Pretty
cool. You did well too.
It's a classic. Like it's got a cool old school feel to it. It's like, what is it in 1980s or something? It's
a 76. Yeah, like one of the I think it was like a couple years later they phased out electromechanical and they started doing going with electronics. So.
Is there any other good pinball players in the Blade scene that you know?
Yeah, my buddy Dast. He doesn't skate quite as much now, but Dast is a huge pinball player and he's super good. Who else? He's like the main dude that really got me like super hyped on pinball when I moved to Portland. I always really liked pinball, and I'd play a little bit in Spokane. You had to have one at the mall, or the buddy had one in his parents' garage, and so I liked it, but I never really got a chance to kind of like capitalize on it or get really good at it or just learn it until I moved to Portland. There's just machines everywhere, every bar, every restaurant or whatever, and I was just like, wow, this is crazy. And so I started just playing at Slingshot down the road and got real good at that, and kind of started playing with Dast on the weekends, and he was showing me a bunch of shit. So
he like taught you the tricks of it?
Yeah, Dast was like a huge motivator of me like getting upping my game really.
Okay, cool. What are your favorite pinball games and like why?
There's like the classics from the 90s that like a lot of people know, like Attack from Mars and Medieval Madness. Those are like super great games. Will always be great. I also like, again, some of the older ones. I like some of the early Solid States, 80s Bally. So, I really like, like Future Spa or Paragon, some of those kind of crazy ones. They have like really dumb artwork with just like dudes lifting weights and chicks with big boobs and stuff like that. It's like really dumb, but like some of those machines are really good.
That's awesome. Star Trek, is that a good one?
Yeah. Star Trek is one of the newer ones, probably like 2013 or something like. And it's newer, not so much anymore, but I really like that one. Some of those newer string ones are cool.
Speaking of like older classic style stuff, you have a moped, right?
Yeah. We'll just work through my list of 90s memorabilia. Yeah, I've got like a 86 Honda Spree that I got last year, and that's super fun to zip around. Like Eastside Portland, it's like the easiest way to get around on some of these streets. So that's been another kind of fun project. Got the VX.
Yeah.
Got another one I'm really into is like cassette hunting and like making little mixtapes. So like we'll either record stuff off the radio or off of other playlists, and I'll make those. Whether it's like making my own mixtapes or just like finding cassettes or even like new releases. Like the people that put out new releases these days on cassettes are usually shit that I'm into.
I mean, some of those Ross G tapes.
Yeah.
You've been finding some fire.
Yeah, I mean, I found Ross G cuts like a few years ago, and like anytime he puts out a tape, like I'm on it. On cassette store day, I think that's what it's called, in October. I was like, oh, Ross G put out a new release. I'm going down to the record store and I'm gonna get that.
That's sick. And we do quite a fair bit of camping out here too. You're probably have a lot more experience than I do out camping out here. You've been out here 5 years.
Yeah.
Maybe your favorite spots?
Actually, the spot that I really liked that kind of like got me into like free camping, our buddy Xmas, Johnny Christmas, introduced me to like, kind of off the, I don't know if you want to call it off the grid, but like there's no running water, there's no bathrooms, that kind of style of camping. But it's really nice because there's not a lot of people, and it's just kind of like a different experience when you're camping right by the edge of a waterfall. It's like way different than when you're just like car camping at a campground. I like them both for their different styles, but there's such great spots that you can do whatever.
Yeah, sure. I mean, he always has those secret waterfall spots.
Yeah.
And there's so many different spots with just great nature scenery, and there's just unique camping out here. I come from Michigan, so it's very flat. Everything's kind of the same. There's sand dunes in some parts and a lot of evergreens everywhere. But out here, you get a lot of hills. You have the Columbia Gorge. You have mountains. You have the coast. We've camped at the beach before. Mm. There's just a variety out here. So VXPDX, let's talk a little bit about this. How did this project kind of come about, and when did it happen? Like, when did the ball start rolling? We
bought the VX 2000 like either like right after Christmas or like 1st of January, just like beginning of the year. We got super motivated, and I was kind of looking at Craigslist, and I saw like a GL2, which is one of the original cameras I had, for super cheap. And I was like, yeah, it was a pretty good camera, but I wanted to have something with a little more variability, better colors, and what have you. So, we kind of started looking for a VX and found one on eBay that was super mint. I couldn't believe it. It said 20 hours studio use. And I was like, nah, that's bullshit. Everyone says like, oh, it's in great condition. And then I got it, and everything was just like pristine. It came with a case. It came with all the accessories.
Crispy.
It was so fucking crispy. So really stoked to get that and start a project. But even before that, you and I had been talking about making something. We had been filming on the iPhone with the depth lens fisheye. And we were having fun with that, just poking in here and there. And, you'd pop out the fisheye and try to get a long shot here and there and mix it up. But, obviously, a phone is not the tool to make something. And if you take a step backwards, a DSLR is a similar situation that you can have a really good fisheye, but that's about it. So, getting a tool that can do everything is super important.
You kind of dialed in the lens choice, is that right?
Oh, sure. I mean, if you're gonna get a VX, you might as well not cop out. Got to go for that Century Optics Mark One fisheye. Do it. Yeah, there's other ones of lesser quality that just they're not as sharp around the edges, and so when you're filming people and they come towards the edge, it's going to be kind of soft and it's just not going to look as good. So you might as well just go all the way, for sure.
Yeah, and when you thought about getting that camera too, you were kind of reaching out to some of the homies that have used that camera in the past for some expert tips, right? And even looking at what their shooting styles or techniques and kind of gathering that information. There was Carter LeBlanc, Jeff Phillip, probably Ian Walker's work. I mean, who were some of the other inspirations behind sort of that?
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. Those are the dudes that I really enjoyed all of their edits, their filming. So that's kind of where I drew inspiration from. And so when I was wanting to grab a camera, I talked to Carter on the phone for a half hour. I mean, he's been filming on VXs for years and years and years, whether it was the original 1000 or 21 or, he's probably got 3 at any given time. So he's taken them, repaired them, and moved on. But he's been filming with these cameras for so long that I wanted to get an expert opinion on how to move forward. And that ended up being the right choice. And as far as the edits go, I mean, you watch any of those guys' stuff, I mean, that's the shit. So.
Yeah. Chance of Rain 2 was super hype. Yeah. They're working on Chance of Rain 3. I was talking to Jeff Howard the other day, and he was saying, I was like, how many VXs do you guys have? He's like, oh, between all of us, about 10. Yeah. So they have 10 floating around between their whole crew. So.
And the homie Jeff Phillip, I mean, he's had a VX 2000 forever. Ever since I've known him, he had the same VX. And eventually, he had busted off the viewfinder, and he made he took a bong and cut it down and put the rubber piece over the rubber eye cup over it, and he manufactured a new viewfinder for his VX out of a bong. It was fucking wild. I have to get I hope he has a photo of that or something.
Please email or send that. I want to see that.
Yeah.
Sounds amazing. Ivan and I continue our conversation, diving deeper into VXPDX. You'll hear the conversation juxtaposed to some candid moments recorded during the review session.
So, yeah. Changed out a few songs, and things have gotten, it'll be different. I hope you like it. It's not going to be that.
Yeah, I'm just,
all right.
It's going to be good.
It's showtime, it's Beetlejuice. Doing a shout out for VXPDX, kicking off Wizard World.
Bart's hyped. Get it, Bart.
Have you done audio first?
Oh yeah, that's where I should preface. I haven't EQ'd. Nothing's EQ'd.
Okay.
So yeah.
Is it speed ramped or not?
Yeah.
Okay.
So nothing's EQ'd.
Okay.
As far as levels of music, levels of skating, but yeah, cool. I've done speed ramps where I want them.
Nice.
So.
The sound of that is great. The very strong VX. Creating very powerful, clear, great sound. I love it. Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the concept of it. I feel like it was about New Year's, and you and I, it was this weird wintry day in Portland, and it was snowing, which doesn't really happen that often. We were going to the bar down the street, Bar Maven.
Which is what you do when it snows in Portland. Everyone goes to the bar.
And we were super hyped. We just got off of watching Basement, and we were talking about it on the way to the bar, and then as we got to the bar, we kind of kept mentioning and talking about it, and we were like, man, we really have to create something that's dope like this. I don't know, it was such a parallel. We could see it. We were like, it's fun, it's shot right, the good fisheye work with the good movements, the intentional sort of shots. very stylish stuff. I would say for the most part, they don't shoot a whole lot of long balance rails where people have an opportunity to wave their arms and things like kind of get out of control. It's very finessed.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I was just really juiced about the idea of creating like going session or spot to spot and not making it being all about sections, but maybe just making it feel more like sessions and breaking down a spot.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, to me that felt a lot fresher than other skate videos did, and it felt like something new and inspirational to me. It almost felt like a Brain for a Gone to me, like in a different way.
Yeah.
It was like Brain for a Gone, of course, like hammers and insane stuff of its time, but this was something different. This just felt more like, ooh, this is what I want to create. That's what it made me feel. Basement did.
Yeah, that video was super motivating, and obviously everything that the Kelsos do on the skating end, on the filming end, on the editing end, it's all super, super dialed, and so you can't help but be motivated by that and want to create something of your own. So that's kind of the jumping off point. And I could never compare the work that we do to the Kelsos or Carter or Jeff, but like those are where the inspirations come from, and you'll probably see a little bit of some of that within the work and just our take on it.
Sure.
That's a good one. That's it. Ooh, I love that transition. That's great. Or like this fisheye to the workiness. That's really cool.
I changed this transition a little bit. I kind of like it.
I said, what you guys are doing here is pretty sick because I'm from California and I grew up rollerblading around and they call me a fruit booter. That's not true because those things are sick. Like, I'm all about it. That's awesome.
Cheers. That's good.
And I think another thing that helped out with the project a little bit is, in the past years, we skated a lot of just parks in Portland. Like for the past 2 years, it was all just park skating for the most part, street here and there. But it was really frustrating. Like we'd go to a spot and maybe we get kicked out, or maybe it was the wrong time of day, or who knows, like all sorts of different issues that you run into with street spots. We started building a Google Maps spots map that had all street spots, and that was a game changer.
Yeah, the way we had started planning sessions became really, really efficient. We would take a photo of a spot and either write down the address or take a little screenshot of where you're at, and bam, we'd start building this spot list. And so now if we wanted to go out and just skate and get some clips, we knew that, hey, we have these 3 spots that are within either skating distance or within 5 minutes of driving distance, and we would knock out, I don't know, you and I, sometimes we'd get 8 clips in a day, and it wasn't even a full day of skating. We could go out, over just a few hours and just knock out a bunch of bangers. So not wasting a whole day, where do we go? And then we drive across, town just to get to a couple spots, and before you know it, the day's over. It was a new way of just, being really efficient with our time and getting some great spots.
Right. And we got a great start on the year. It was a brand new year that we had purchased the camera, and then you and I jumped into the spring season. There was
not even spring; it was winter. We started filming in February.
we tested at some little skate parks just to test and get used to the camera and dial it in a little bit. You had watched a tutorial too, some skateboard tutorial, Beagle.
Yeah, Beagle.
What's that called on YouTube?
I think the actual series is called In Focus.
Okay.
Of course they're filming skateboarding, but it's all relatable. And this guy Beagle is such a character. He's also been filming on VX forever, since back in the day. And he's got the best. If you're a skater, you're gonna get it.
Yeah,
he's you got to find that secret focus button.
He breaks it down and actually shows you how to properly film fisheye, and kind of everybody that's trying to film fisheye footage, if you haven't seen this video, you should probably watch it, because he actually shows you how you should pivot and revolve around a skater, and it really can change the way that you film. So go check out Beagle stuff on YouTube. It's a pretty entertaining video too, but it's really dope, and quite honestly, I think it can it can game change anybody's filming.
Actually, it could probably even help you with, like, even though it's not a VX, but, you know, the Deathlens app is, you know, inspired by the VX, and so it's just certain concepts you might be able to pull from just to make your shot, hey, either it's not jumping around in focus, or you've turned the stabilizer off, or your exposure doesn't change. Like, it's all, you know, just get your shit dialed.
Yeah, absolutely. And music was sort of a big influence also behind, like we saw when we watched Basement, the music was incredible. And when I felt like a soundtrack that flows seamlessly and, you know, never stops, and the skating just seems like it keeps going, keeps you juiced, keeps you hyped. So I know originally you and I were talking a little bit about soundtrack and the importance of just creating a good core soundtrack.
Yeah, that's a big backbone of the project, and we definitely we have taken a lot of time to really dial that in. We've swapped out tracks. We've spent a lot of time on that just because, I mean, it's super important, you know, 50-50 on audio and video, but you could argue that audio is way more important, you know.
Yeah, to paint the vibe and to get the feeling of what you're trying to do. I mean, for this video, it's like we're trying to keep people hyped on tricks and, like, see relatable, fun, creative skating just seamlessly. And sort of a soundtrack vibe. Like, I don't know, it's something where you could probably go and not watch and just listen to it, and it would sound awesome too, like sound effects wise.
It's a lot of interesting too, like fun skating, and I don't know, relatable blading, just people having fun in Portland. Jamie Clay, got a few cameo appearances. Juxtaposed against everybody's favorite bro dad, Dustin Jameson.
Crowd pleasing.
So, you know, we got a pretty good head start in the spring kind of filming, and that was kind of cool. You and I got to kind of piece together a vision of what you and I wanted to create for our section, a split collaboration piece, and kind of share that off to the homies, and we really got everybody excited about it. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we had stacked enough for like probably about 2.5 minutes, and had put together some music, and kind of every, you know, time we would have like a blade night, you know, where we'd premiere like a new video, we're like, hey, you know, check out what we made, and people saw that and got motivated, and people jumped on board. Who do you think was the first to jump on?
Steve Duraza was pretty. Steve Duraza, he would joined in immediately. He
in like March or February, or
yeah, I mean, and he came straight from Detroit, and as soon as he came to Portland, he was stacking photos and video clips with you. So definitely Steve Duraza, and then I feel like David Witt jumped on right away. Stephen Babcock was shortly to join. Dustin Jameson. We don't see as much of him as we'd like to because he lives in Washington, but he comes down to blade with us once in a while. So we had a really good lineup just from the beginning. And then some of the other people that kind of joined in, you know, like Billy Anderson has some great clips in it. Chris Staffick has some great stuff. Matt Rice, Jeff Howard.
Greg Tuthill.
Oh, yeah. You and Greg break it down quite a bit. Yeah. Some great sections, back and forth filming.
There's more Matt Rice.
Mm-hmm.
If we didn't mention Weed Porn, he's got a great little deal.
I had a little more natural elements like sit back in there.
Very good job editing that last out.
This one here.
Oh man, I'm fucking stoked on that one.
Everyone's favorite Weed Porn. That's you. Yeah. Dude, I like all of it.
And then go back down. You got it all figured out. I can do that.
Let's go.
The brother with the best flow.
The manifesto like fresco. Pull out the go on. Catch me with the dope gun. Spring down, sprinkle down the neutrons and photons. So on and so on. My life just goes on. Fast food the way go on. Fear of a black fist with the skill couldn't practice. We go AWOL. Play at your own risk. Cascade the libation over my sarcophagus. Underground archaeologist. Yeah, in a vintage tuxedo. Posted up like Mexicans in front of Home Depot. We go back like 8 tracks in your grandpapa's Ringo. Now put the wax to the needle. I'm having pockets like Evo. Yeah, there's more power to the people.
Ivan has been taking point on filming, and I've been kind of Ivan will ingest the footage and then send it over to me, and then I've been roughing out the timeline, and then now I'm at a point of bouncing it back to Ivan, and he's tuning it up with the soundtrack and doing some speed ramping, and then we'll kind of collaborate on the end portion and really just go and tie it all together. And I think it's going to be a really, really tight project by the time we finish it, when we just had two minds and two ideas, and the vision has always kind of been laser focused on what we're trying to do. And every version that I see of it gets me more excited about it. So I think we're aiming for premiere on, what is it?
April 21st, day after 420.
Okay, there you go, Ivan. It's going to be a really, really fun event. We're hoping to host it at NXT Studios in Portland, Oregon. More details to follow. We'll be posting that on Haunted Wheel Co. And you'll probably see it on everyone's Instagram page on Portland. So it'll be a really easy and fun event to come out to. It's super juiced for that. I'm really excited to present this to everybody.
Yeah, it's going to be a good culmination of events, so come on out.
Oh, Johnny. You should do some sort of effect on it. At the beginning of the project, we kind of started just kind of referring to it as VXPDX because the camera is a VX and PDX is what people call Portland, or the Portland Airport. So we just kind of combined those two. And we went back and forth on the idea of should we change the name, should we not? And yeah, Ivan, maybe you can talk a little bit about that, of how we kind of came to the conclusion of VXPDX and the name of it. Why we decided on VXPDX.
Yeah, I mean, I think we had tried to toss around other ideas, and in the end, we just...
Everyone was referencing it.
Yeah, everyone was already calling it VXPDX. There was a hashtag. We already had Beetlejuice saying...
Beetlejuice was
giving us the intro of,
yeah.
You're watching VXPDX or something like that. So,
that was most important.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just kind of in concrete at that point. It was the best name, so we just went forward with that.
Yeah, I feel like it summarized up the video. Just Portland scene, filming on the VX. This is a collaboration project. I don't know. So it felt like it was a really, really good title.
Yeah, I mean, this is what's happening in Portland, Just people out having fun, and you're not going to see dudes doing disaster drop rails or anything like that, but I think it's going to be something that everyone's going to be really hyped to see.
Yeah, I mean, toasted my fast line for you, but...
Yeah, I mean,
there's a few.
There's a few
hammers. Let's talk a little bit about the marketing and sort of our game plan on Instagram. And out of the gate, I felt like we had a good game plan with how we were going to put that out to the world. And we really wanted to split the workload between you and I. So let's chat a little bit about that, what we wanted to share, photos behind the scenes and images themselves.
Yeah, I think we wanted to build up the hype by having, hey, these are photos of, behind the scenes, or this was a laced trick. We really just wanted to show people who were out here doing this, on the weekends, and really just grinding to get this thing, not to get it done, but just we're out there having fun doing it, and just letting people know what's going on.
Yeah, behind the scenes photos are one of... They get me the most hype for a video project because you don't really see what it is, or the trailer. The trailer in tandem with behind the scenes images always kind of gets me excited for a project. And again, I don't know, just Basement or them, how their releases are great. They're so fun to watch and to follow along with their Instagram stories, see what's going on. Great behind the scenes images of just who's filming what skater. That's awesome to see.
Yeah, I mean, it gives you a step back to see. So, you might see a spot that's pretty fucked up, but you can't really tell because it's like a fisheye clip. So you see a wider shot shot by yourself, Billy going up this crazy bank to rail, but you're like, wow, that bank is kind of fucked up. I don't think I would do that.
Yeah, definitely. And my girlfriend Britta, she's been shooting all these cool, experimenting with these wigglegram photos. So it's a film camera that shoots on 4 lenses, and so you take these 4 images and you kind of stitch them together, and it gives you a sort of a 3-dimensional image as it wiggles it back and forth in a GIF motion.
Yeah, it's just like a little animation.
Yeah, so we've been incorporating those, and we were lucky enough to have her come out to a couple sessions and shoot some of those. But that's just been a really fun technique to kind of show the behind the scenes of what we've been doing.
Yeah, keep on the lookout for those. I don't know if we've released any of those yet, have we? Or maybe one.
There was one set, with the Dustin. One of the first sets that we released was really cool.
Yeah, those are super unique, so keep your eye out for those.
Yeah. So what else? Let's wrap this up. And what else? What do you think overall people can look forward to in VXPDX? Like, what are you excited for people to see in this film?
Yeah, I think videos like this and other ones we're inspired by will really kind of inform people on maybe how they think about making a skate video. Whether it's a shorter form edit, probably longer than Instagram because that's just too short. Whether it's a longer form edit or a full length video. Get together with the homies and start talking about it beforehand, and try to come up with an idea or what's the word I'm looking for? A theme that you all kind of enjoy, and just shoot for that. Have something to shoot for, because if you just kind of go out there and start shooting without any kind of process, you just kind of end up with what you get. But if you have a goal that you're aiming for, and everyone can kind of contribute and get on board, you might come up with a better end result.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, just creating content has the power to influence other content. So I just hope that other people will see this flick and be like, that's really dope. I think our clique could also, like our group of friends could also create something like this that's fun and that like motivates other people to blade.
Just pull your, get the guys together, get your resources together. And hey, one guy's got a camera and they want to do the filming, someone wants to do the editing, someone wants to take BTS photos. You can get everyone involved and just have sessions and film it and have a good time, and you're going to get something good.
Yeah. And shout out to everybody that's been helping out in the behind the scenes. Like Greg Tuthill has been helping us out with graphics. He's doing the main graphic of the video itself and then doing all the name keys. And then even Megan Peterson helping us out with lining up a venue. So kind of all the friends are helping out in their own little way.
Yeah.
So it's just a really cool, it's a cool project that has extension more than it's not just a video. Mm-hmm. It sort of feels like it's like a crew and a project. It's a little capsule of time that we're like, here you go. This is, we wrap this up. This is 9 months of filming or whatever. And here's what we came up with. And, super excited to present it to the world. So thanks, Ivan. Any last shout outs or anything else you'd like to say?
Everyone. I'm terrible about getting everyone, so everyone.
There you go. Shout outs to everyone, especially those pinball heads. Ivan, you got any tips for the pinball heads out there?
Just flip one flipper at a time. I don't want to see anybody out there flipping both flippers at the same time, looking like a dummy. Because that way, I'm in a multi-ball now, so it's really fun to talk it through. So that way, especially in a multi-ball, you can control each flipper one by one, so you can make all the saves, make all the decisions, and have your flippers free to basically make any move, any save, any shot, because you're not being a dummy.
Follow Ivan Gwynn on Instagram at IvanJivin, that's IvanJivin, and follow me on Instagram at Brad Oz Photo. And don't forget to follow Greg Tuthill, the artist behind the VXPDX logo, at Greg Tut on Instagram. That's GregTut on Instagram. Visit bladerat.com and support by becoming a Patreon member at patreon.com/bladerat. Thank you all for listening, and thank you for being a part of the Blade Rat podcast.